and this is gearing up for the 30th anniversary of M.A.S.K. And I'm joined with somebody that I've traded, bought from, and just generally talked to for a very long time, and Brent Scarano, a fellow M.A.S.K collector and um, a seller of all the cool stuff of the '80s. And Brent, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with us.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes. So, ju- like, what I want to ask you first is your earliest memory of Mask. Um, was it the cartoon? Was it an episode? Was it getting a toy at Christmas? Just kind of walk us through that a little bit.
It was probably the cartoon. I
Okay.
mean, like most kids coming home from school, you run home and you get to watch your cartoons like He-Man and Mask and G.I. Joe and all that. And for some reason, Mask just, I dug it a lot more than the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people say that, and then they, but then they forget.
Yeah.
So what kept it going for you?
It turned into more of the toys for me after that. I remember I lived in this little town in Colorado. I think there was like 300 people, dirt roads, and every, we wouldn't go to the mall very often because it was like 100 miles away. So when we went, it was like an adventure. I
Yeah.
remember getting piranha on one of those mall trips, and it was just I loved it. And then we broke down on the way home, which as a kid it was a fun adventure. For my parents, I'm sure it was a pain. But yeah, I remember I got to open the piranha and I got to play with it in the tow truck, and it was just like one of those fun memories that I have.
Yeah, yeah. As you said, your parents probably didn't have much fun, but it's
No, I think of it now and I'm like, oh, what a horror story.
yeah, but still, I mean, for a kid, as you said, you got to, you got to do that. So you have that lasting memory.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Um, you know, I think I'm trying to remember when we started talking online. I guess it was through the message board at first. I don't, I don't remember.
Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely on the message boards though.
Okay. Um, yeah.
Way before MySpace and Facebook.
Was that on mine or was it on? Um, what was it all about mask? I think it was on that one, but I think it was on. I
I
think it
thought it
was.
was on yours.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. So that was a while ago, and I think
Yeah.
as we talked and traded more, we I made you a moderator on there, and
Yeah.
it had a good run, but it became too much and so much spam and
Yeah, it seems like the day of the message board is kind of dying off anyway with the social media outlets.
yeah, I mean, you don't really need them anymore. And at
Yeah.
this point, um, you know, as I said, in when we were talking, you you run a pretty pretty popular Facebook group for action figure identification, and
Oh yeah.
kind of you know kind of walk us through the process of coming up with that and how it's been for you so far.
Well, that also started on message boards. People would post pictures of stuff that they needed identified, and everybody would chime in. And it just seemed like a really fun thing. I loved helping people, and I love watching people kind of come together and help each other. So I started Action Figure ID like 3-4 years ago,
Okay.
and it's been it's been great for the most part. Of course, we're up to over 4,000 people now. So anybody who has seen Facebook groups with that many people, there's going to be a few issues with people not acting like they want to be there or they want to help. But for the most part, it's been really great.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be pretty successful. I've used it a few times in the past, and for people that want to check out the group, I'll post a link in this video after it gets published, for people to see. And that way, there, if you have anything that's sitting in your basement, or you pick it up at a flea market. Not sure where it is.
Yeah,
Pretty sure some of these guys will know.
it's stuff. I When I first started, I would pretty much help identify everything. But now that it's this many people deep, it's stuff gets identified before I can even type. And well, I'm not the fastest typer in the first place, but either way, it gets identified within like seconds.
Yeah, it's a great service. You know, I migrated the message board to a Facebook group. Well, not migrated, but I left the other one up as like an archive, and
Yeah.
um, and just kind of created another a Facebook group. To go that route, it's easier to maintain.
Yeah, there's some great info on that old message board, though. A lot of people had a lot of great collections that they displayed.
Yeah, that's why I
And
didn't want to just like take it down and have it go away. I wanted to keep it up. I just stopped user registration on it.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, it just became too much to maintain. Doing it
and those
alone.
things are spam magnets too.
Yeah, it was. I would spend hours trying to quell it all, but it didn't matter. And at some point, you just gotta 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 realize that something might just not work anymore.
Yeah, and like you
But
said, doing a Facebook group is a lot easier to keep track of.
it's easier, and not as many people as I thought would have moved over yet. But I'm not overly concerned about that because there's
Yeah,
active talk on. There's like there's a really good group of Facebook pages just mask oriented now, and um, some new websites popping up every so often, and it's not just all one burden to carry anymore. So it
yeah.
made it easier decision to go that route. But your time as a moderator, I thank you for that.
Oh yeah, I had a blast. I mean, that was the place to be if you were a Mask fan, because of course there was that Albert Pinello site that
Yeah,
had a lot of good reference, but there was no kind of back and forth with fans.
yeah,
And
like
you were the one to bring that out for the first time.
well, I tried. There was All About Mask, which was a site that was run in Germany that had a message board, but
Hmm.
it their website, um, I forgot exactly what happened with them, but that was there, and I used it, but it wasn't something I used often.
Yeah,
I did have the one in the United States that was based here for the website, Matt-Trakker.com, and
yeah.
um, that's what I try to do. I try to make it one place where everybody could get together online, since it's a niche group. It's grown a lot. Um, and I just hope that it continues to grow.
I I'm surprised it hasn't. I mean, everybody I talk to, I've got the full first series loose on display in my office at work, and everybody who sees them just like freaks out because they grew up with it and they forgot about it, which is really weird.
Yeah, it's common. And what's your theory on that? Do you have anything?
I think it was just overshadowed by Transformers and GI Joe and He Man.
Yeah,
There's a lot of small lines from the '80s that were kind of they blew up and then they went away. Mask lasted a lot longer than some of those other ones, but I don't know. People just Transformers, GI Joe, He Man were in your face all the time. So
yeah. Wasn't Thundercats like that as well?
Thundercats is yeah. A lot of people remember that too, but I don't remember having any of the toys when I was younger, which is really weird because I had a little bit of everything. We weren't like I wasn't spoiled with a whole bunch of toys, but I had like little bits and pieces of a lot of different lines.
Yeah, the main characters, and then maybe
Yeah.
a villain. That's kind of what my brother and I had growing up. Where, well, actually, no, we had a lot of we had a lot of He-Man figures. We had not a lot of Transformers, not a whole lot of GI Joe, but we had superpowers,
Oh yeah.
um, Secret Wars, and a lot of mask oriented things. You know, if you got to listen to the mask panel, I got most of my mask stuff after the dentist for the most part. And, and luckily, my teeth were pretty bad growing up.
Oh, so you got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so it was great. Parents had to go out and spend $30 on something else after paying whatever it was back then for the dentist. But I remember doing that, when I was younger. But obviously, I didn't want to go to the dentist. But
Oh, yeah. At least
I,
there was a reward afterwards.
yeah, you know, that- and I was brushing my teeth. It wasn't like I was, just eating sugar and then going to bed. It was just unfortunate, but it worked out in the end. And I was rough on my toys growing up. Um, a lot of my original stuff. I mean, you've seen my collections from not just M.A.S.K, but you've seen, a lot of
Yeah,
them
the
I have.
He-Man stuff, the superpowers. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, I probably had the first two waves of superpowers and He-Man. I don't remember how much I had of that, but with M.A.S.K, it kind of stopped for me. I want to say I had a couple of the racing series.
yeah.
One of the few things I had that survived was Bulldog, but I know I didn't have it all. I know I had the whole first series, and the second series, I think I had most of it. And then it was what I had Razorback, Bulldog, probably Manta, and Meteor, I think.
I think I had a secondhand Razorback because I know I really liked that one,
Yeah,
and
it's pretty
I
neat.
didn't even know about split seconds until
Well, I didn't either.
a lot later.
Yeah, and I, it, like my theory of it is that, and a lot of people I talked to over in Europe, they didn't really catch on with the first series of Mass. Like they kind of caught on the second series. But
Yeah, and they got the later stuff.
yeah, they picked up series two, three, and four, where you know over the United States and I guess Canada as well. It was series one, two, and three, and I never had any of the split seconds growing up. I know that for sure. Um, so that wasn't only until after I started recollecting, you know, that I was able to obtain those. But it was cool
Yeah,
to learn about them, and I learned about them through Albert's site initially and looking at eBay. Um, so I remember trying to recollect and learn that it was pretty cool to know that there was a whole thing that I didn't know about,
yeah.
and I wanted to document that and try to provide that information.
See, I collect a lot of '80s lines, and it's amazing how much stuff we missed in the '80s that were really cool.
Yeah, like, I mean, superpowers. You go with that.
Yeah,
I didn't know about Samurai and Golden Pharaoh and the Riddler. I didn't know that Mister Freeze was out in that series. It was there's a lot of stuff like that that you don't know. I mean, He Man.
yeah.
You know,
The first few series, that's the way it seems like to me. Like I got a full collection of Battle Beasts right now, and when I was younger, I only thought there was like 15 of them at the most,
back
and
when I was growing
there's
up.
like 50 something of them.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I only knew the handful I had. I remember the
Yeah,
Griff and uh, a couple other ones, but yeah, like you get the first couple, and then as a kid, you're all right. I'm done, and you move
yep,
on.
yeah. Your parents have moved on to something else, or you have, and
Yeah.
that's what's so great about collecting now. That's why I love it because I'm always finding new stuff. Same with like Action Figure ID. That's another reason why I started that because I'm learning every day.
Mhm.
There's like stuff that's popping up. I'm like, wow, that went to that, and then I'm like, well, now I got to buy all that.
But by far, though, I mean, with collecting, Mask was the most fun. I think.
Oh yeah, I was kind of sad when I finished
Yeah.
because I've got like the whole U.S. release. I've got all the Europe stuff. I didn't go too deep into some of the variations that some people go into, like the different color headlights or tail lights on Thunderhawk and stuff like that, or different kind of chrome paint or whatever.
I didn't do that either.
Yeah,
I I think like you, I focused. I went for some of those really awesome Argentina figures.
those things are just I don't know. You know how I feel about those.
I know, but there's not much you can do about it. I mean,
Yeah,
you have to get it, you know.
that's the thing. You get to the end of a clay, you start digging deeper, and you're like,
I
like
just,
those M.A.S.K figures from China or whatever.
yeah,
I really, really want those now, even
yeah,
though they're awful.
they look like
They're like
I don't know,
cartoon characters
they
more than they
look
already
like
do.
they belong in like Gumby or something.
Yeah, but now I really want them, and I don't even know how I'm going to get those.
That we went in on eBay
Yeah,
together. You know, I was like, hey, you want to go in on this? I'm going to try to get this over in Europe, and we could save on shipping, which we did. Um, but we got it in, and then you're like, you know, it's it's a variation with a terrible card back,
yeah,
probably water damaged.
yes. Everything was wet in Argentina for some reason.
Yeah, and they all ended up over in Europe afterwards. So I don't know how that works
Yeah,
here. But a lot of the ones that I got early on, they're wet
yeah.
and uh,
Like somebody fished them out of the bottom of a well and said, "Hey, look, we have M.A.S.K figures."
yeah, I'm guessing they were in one warehouse in general, and it was probably not kept, and they were probably uncovered.
Yeah,
That's just the way it worked.
I know nothing about Argentina except for these figures, and I'm just assuming if I went there, it would be really humid. And that's just, that's me being,
No, I would have the same assumption. Yeah, I was looking through your shop, and
yeah.
where's shop 1321 come from? The name.
I for some reason 1321 has my email address has been scar1321 since probably the mid 90s before
Okay.
when email started, like when I
Yeah.
first got my first email address. It was just two numbers that I like 13 and 21. It was my favorite football player in high school was Deion Sanders and his number was 21, so it was just kind of like one of those. I just threw it together and then it
I
stuck with me, so I just did shop 1321 to go with the scar 1321.
okay. I do the same thing with my personal emails and things like that. It's 1082 at the end. My favorite player growing up was John LeClaire of the Flyers, and the number I wore when I played hockey was 82. So that's how I differentiated that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
just sticks with you.
yeah. Just curious. I'm looking at your page here. You have a manta up here, fleet. You got a nice. You got firecracker complete too. It looks like.
Yeah. Yeah,
Got
it's funny because the shop I started the shop pretty much like what we were talking about earlier, that I've got to like certain points of toy lines that I was comfortable spending money on. And then you when you get farther into a toy line when you're collecting it, some of the later stuff gets a little more expensive. So I'm like, well, how can I justify paying this much for something? So I started selling extra stuff. And well, I love going to swap meets and flea markets and stuff and finding little treasures. But I can't collect everything. So whatever I don't collect, I put it in the shop, and then I use the shop money to fund my toy collecting.
Yes, and your mask collection is actually one of the better laid out ones that I've seen. Um,
Yeah,
like,
because I spent a bunch of money on acrylic cases.
oh yeah, every I keep forgetting what they're called, and then I ask you, and then I look it up, and I'm like, I can't.
well, I bought these back in what was it, like 03, 02 at Walmart. They would come with two cases that would fit most basic M.A.S.K size vehicles for $10. So I was just buying the crap out of those, and they look good because they're completely clear. They don't have the black bottoms or anything like that.
Yeah,
And then I tie down the vehicles to the bottom of the case. So and even put a little screw so the figure can stand there and you can turn the case upside down and nothing moves. But
it's.
yeah, I bought those years ago and I don't even know where to find them now.
I mean, I've seen those types of cases um, at like Michaels or like a Joanne.
Oh, and they're expensive.
Yeah, I mean they do tend to get expensive. I think it's probably $10 or more for one.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I mean, it stinks that that has to happen. Like I need to put my autographed Thunderhawk in something, but I don't have
yeah,
anything to put it in. I should probably just at least get one. But if I get one, I'm gonna need one for
yeah,
everything. And
yeah. You're gonna want to do it to all of them.
yeah,
I, it was tougher finding the bigger cases for some of the larger vehicles, but I kind of spent a little bit more on those. But back then, it still wasn't that bad when I was casing them up.
find
Was that?
did you find one for Boulder Hill?
No,
No, not
no.
that.
That's put away right now. I don't have the room for it. I've got a toy room at the house, but there's I've got tons of '80s toy lines in there, so I can't fit everything.
No, it's not possible.
Yeah, some of these play sets are just out of control. I don't know if you've have you heard of Sectars?
Yes.
They have a playset that dwarfs Castle Grayskull.
Hmm.
I mean, it just makes Castle Grayskull look like a little dirt hut. So, and I've got one of those that I can't display either.
Well, you sent me that back cave. I'm pretty sure that was something that you had extra.
Yeah, that was something that was nice
But
to move along because it was so
yeah,
big.
yeah, it's pretty big, and I actually found a way to display it. And thanks for sending that over. I
Yeah, it
appreciate
looks great too.
it. So I don't know. So basically, I'm going to wrap it up here.
Okay,
Um, like I said, thanks for coming on for a couple of minutes and just kind of talking about your memories of Mask and
yeah,
uh, and how you started, your collecting and selling, and it was nice to figure that stuff out. And I'll post, um, links to your shop and your Facebook group and your Facebook page as well. And
thanks.
people can find you, and you can also find a link to his website right on the homepage of Matt-Trakker.com down the right hand side. So, Brent, thanks again, and I hope you have a good night.
Thank you.
See you.